Good morning, children. In today's morning class, we had discussed about the anomalous properties of nitrogen, why it should show anomalous behavior, and what are the trends followed in the reactivity of these elements towards reactivity with hydrogen and reactivity with oxygen and reactivity with halogens. For the sake of recapitulation, I must discuss them for once more. Nitrogen shows anomalous behavior on account of three main reasons. Number one, absence of d orbital. Number two, very high electronegativity. Number three, its very small size. And then how does it shows anomalous behavior? It shows mainly the anomalous behavior as most of the other elements of the group may extend their covalency or you can say the oxidation state till +5, ranging from -3. But nitrogen is restricted to maximum covalency of 4 only on account of absence of d orbital. Number one. Number two, anomalous behavior is nitrogen. Nitrogen single bond is very weak as compared to the phosphorus, and that is the reason nitrogen is available only in form of N2 having triple bond between nitrogen and nitrogen. Whereas phosphorus is found in allotropic forms having phosphorus single bond. Then the next anomalous behavior of nitrogen is that it is able to form the p-pi bonding unlike the other members of the group which can show d-pi bond. Now children, here comes the concept what is meant by d-pi bonding, d-pi bonding and p-pi bonding. Let us discuss first the p-pi bonding. When a pi bonding is formed between the p orbital of one atom and the p orbital of another atom, then it is called as p-pi bonding as the case with nitrogen. Then the d-pi bond simply means the pi bond will be formed between the d orbital of one element like phosphorus and p orbital of another element like oxygen in case of oxo acids of phosphorus. D-pi bonding simply means the pi bond will be formed between the d orbital of one element and d orbital of another element, as in the case of arsenic when it forms the bonds with the other ligands for the sake of coordination compounds also and otherwise also, like here you have uh, triphenyl arsenic. Now children, next comes the reactivity towards hydrogen. Group 15 elements can form two series of hydrides, one in the series of EH3 and another one in the series of EH5. EH3, where E is any element of group 15, is most stable one and most common one. The basic strength of these hydrides decrease down the group due to the high electronegativity and due to the decrease in electronegativity down the group and then size of the element. Here in the case of ammonia, which is most basic, is due to the high concentration of electron clouds over the small 2p orbital of nitrogen, whereas in case of phosphorus and other elements, the electron charge cloud is quite very dispersed over the central atom and therefore the electron pair is not as easily available for donation, which marks the basic character of these elements. Also, if you look at these carefully, the boiling points of these hydrides also goes on decreasing from top to bottom with an exception of arsenic to antimony. Now, this is again for the same reason because you see as you go down the extent of hydrogen bonding go on decreasing. Ammonia have the highest extent of hydrogen bonding in it, therefore it has the highest boiling point and melting point, and as you go down the hydrogen bonding will go on decreasing and therefore the melting boiling point will both decrease. Now the reactivity towards oxygen, all the elements of group 15 reacts with oxygen to form two series of oxides E2O3 and E2O5. Now children, the higher oxidation states of these elements mark more acidic character of the oxide, and you see the oxides of E2O3 type, that is N2O3 and N2O3 and P2O3, They are purely acidic. They do not show any basic character. One reason may be attributed to their non-metallic character also, and we all know that non-metallic elements, oxides, are acidic in nature, whereas as you go on increasing, as you keep going down the group, the metallic character increase, and therefore the basic character also increase. Now here the arsenic and antimony oxides are amphoteric, and bismuth is purely basic because it is a quite good metal. Then these elements react with halogens to form two series of halides, EX3 and EX5. EX3 is shown by all the elements, and EX5 is also generally shown by all the elements except nitrogen. Nitrogen cannot form any pentahalide on account of absence of d orbital, which restricts its covalency to 4 only. And then children, these elements also react with metals to form the metallides, and they are generally known as metal in case of nitrogen it is like calcium nitride. In case of phosphorus it is calcium phosphide. In case of arsenic it is sodium arsenide, and if you take zinc with antimony, then it is zinc antimonide. Magnesium is also known to form the compound with bismuth, which is known as magnesium bismuthide. Now children, we shall be taking up a few in-text questions. Why are pentahalides of phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth more covalent than their trihalides? We know children that if you go on increasing the oxidation state of an atom, then the covalent nature also increases. This is because if increasing with the oxidation states, the element's tendency to retain its electron pairs in order to complete its octet also increases, and therefore the covalency increase, that is the sharing of electrons is more predominant rather than the complete taking and losing of electrons. 7.2, why bismuth hydride is strongest reducing agent among all the hydrides of group 15 elements. Now see here children, this is not the basic character which is talked about here. They are asking about the reducing character, and reducing character is the ability to donate the hydrogen atoms. So in the group 15 elements, bismuth is the last element, or the bottommost element, which is having the largest atomic radius. Therefore the bond length of bismuth and hydrogen is also largest in the group, and that is why the long bond lengths are easy to break, and that is how bismuth hydride is a better, or you can say strongest reducing agent in the group. Next, discussing with the individual elements, dinitrogen. It is children can be easily prepared by the reaction of ammonium chloride easily available in the lab and sodium nitrite, right? So when you react these two, you can get the nitrogen gas, and otherwise also nitrogen gas is quite abundantly present in atmosphere. It is about 78% of the total composition of the air. Then small amounts of nitrogen oxide and HNO3 which are formed in the reaction, they can be removed by passing this reaction mixture through the sulfuric acid, right? And then through the potassium dichromate. Then children, when you pass this reaction mixture through potassium dichromate, we will get the formation of ammonium dichromate, which on dissociation gives you the nitrogen. And here we are ending up our today's lesson, and we shall catch up with it in our next video.